What's up, everybody? Jack Farr here on behalf of Box to Box Football with my weekly power rankings. We are in kind of a funny time at the moment, the Christmas period. There are games being played across every day of the week. So some teams will have played, some teams won't have played. You're just going to have to trust me that the teams that are yet to play, that'll be taken into account next week's power rankings. Anyway, without any further ado, in at 20, we have Barcelona. First time on this power rankings. Really embarrassing, a bit depressing for any Barcelona fans out there. I know they would have expected much more from a team of their history and stature. But unbeaten in 4 games. 3 out of the last 4 games were wins, the draw being against Valencia as well. Not bad. Let's see where Barcelona can build on this, getting their first entry on the power rankings. In at 19, I have Sporting Lisbon. Maintaining the same kind of levels. They deserve their spot on this list. The other teams around them, the reason for their 2.2 place drop here, just other teams have kind of come back up to standard. In at 18, Celta Vigo. 4 wins on the bounce. They actually have the best form in recent games, up there with Real Madrid. Real Madrid have faced some more difficult opponents, but yeah, 4 wins on the bounce for this Celta Vigo team who really were in trouble 3 or 4 weeks ago. You've got to give them some love. In at 17, Leicester City. They beat Spurs in a really well-managed game from Brendan Rodgers, worth probably an apology from me. I think Brendan Rodgers is a terrific coach, one of the best coaches in the world. I've never really rated him as a tactician or a manager with that kind of mental power to be able to outwit an opponent and drag a team to a title. But he proved in that Spurs game against Jose Mourinho, maybe he can. In at 16, Ajax. Similarly to Sporting Lisbon, when you are in these slightly weaker leagues, you're not going to get as much credit from me, but they're maintaining a very high standard, top of the league in the Eredivisie, so you've got to give them credit there. In at 15, we have Marseille. So they're down 12 places, which is obviously huge, and it's going to be the biggest drop in the list this week. There was a loss and a draw. That's why they're down. They'd still be top of the table if they win their games in hand, but based on their most recent form, the last 2 or 3 games, saying that those kind of games in hand are gimmies and they're just going to win them, not so likely anymore. So Marseille dropping down to 15th. In at 14, yet again, similarly to Ajax, similarly to Sporting Lisbon, I do have Rangers. So they're down 1 spot. They're maintaining this ridiculously high standard. They've only conceded like 5 goals. They've scored like 50, 55. It's unbelievable. On average, winning every single game like 4-0. It's absolutely crazy. It's in a very weak league, guys. This is the Scottish League. This isn't, SeriaA, the Premier League, Bundesliga, Liga, or La Liga. In at 13, coming up 2 places are Chelsea. Strong 3-0 win against West Ham, who are a bit of a trap team for Chelsea. They don't always do particularly well against West Ham. Hopefully trying to get back on track, kind of flatten out that curve, that spiralling down that they had in the Wolves result, that really kind of hammered that in from their loss previous to that as well. In at 12, brand new, is Everton. 3 wins on the bounce, and not 3 wins against Fulham and West Brom and Sheffield United. 3 wins against Chelsea, Leicester and Arsenal. It's one hell of a way to come back on this list. Well deserved. I think similarly to what happened with Chelsea, I feel like the Everton team kind of believed their own hype a little bit. Maybe thought they had it all figured out. And then obviously they had some tough losses to take and a few draws. So from their really, really early season form, there was a bit of a dip. They do seem to be back to kind of winning ways here. I think Carlo Ancelotti has them back now playing their best football. Lille in at 11th, they're up 1 place. Really good showing in that draw against PSG in a game that they could have won. So they kind of maintain their spot here around mid-table on my power rankings. Lyon in the same way, solid 4-1 win in this past week. It's got them in this position with the likes of Marseille, with the likes of Lille, where the teams I think that you would say are the ones just off PSG, they're actually making Liga pretty competitive this year. People I think that forget with the Liga table, the only real team that you really don't think you're going to do anything against is going to be Paris Saint-Germain. You only play them twice a year. The rest of the games for the season are the ones that are really going to see where you land on the spot. PSG really should win this league every single year, hands down, in the same way that we've seen Bayern and Juventus do for years and years. But this year might be a little different. The teams kind of below in terms of quality, that PSG team, really, really coming up strong. So you see a lot of French teams on this power rankings, but guys, trust me, they deserve it. In at 9, down 7 places, a little disappointing for Bayer Leverkusen. Look, it's not the biggest crime in the world to lose against Bayern Munich, not at all. But this really was a good chance for Bayer Leverkusen to really prove to me that they were here to stay and they were the real deal. The loss to Bayern just sees them lose that spot on top of the Bundesliga table, has Bayern Munich reclaim it. So hence the fall there for Leverkusen. In at 8, up 6 spots is Manchester United. Yeah, like that dominating victory against Leeds, 6-2. If a team with the best away form in the world can just get their home form sorted like they proved in this Leeds game, I think, ruling out Manchester United as title contenders, I'm not going to do that. Looking really good at the moment. January transfer window, let's just see what happens. In at 7, up 2 spots is Milan. This is the last undefeated team in Europe's top 5 leagues. Juventus had a very disappointing 3-0 loss against Fiorentina, which has them fall off the list completely. Don't get me wrong, the 2 draws against Parma and Genoa are still fresh in my memory, but over the course of this season, Milan have been brilliant. They definitely deserve their spot on this list. Just in terms of recent form, they have slowed up a little bit, but credit where credit is due. Milan really here to stay in SeriaA this year. Leipzig, yeah, down 2 spots. They're in 6th. Disappointing draw with Köln. But I think they're still in a good position in 6th. I expect them to certainly make that top 4 spot theirs their own. And if they can get on a run here, I know they're signing the Hungarian kid from Salzburg. I believe it's Szoboszlai or whatever. We'll see what he can bring to the team as well. In at 5th, Real Madrid. Yeah, 4 wins on the trot, really going from strength to strength. They're up into 5th position. This is where a team like Real Madrid really should be. Let's hope that they can maintain this and hold their spot on the list. In at 4, Inter Milan. 6 wins in a row. Inter are definitely making a march here. They have, I believe there's a game against Roma coming up in a couple of weeks. That will be kind of tricky. But apart from that, they've put together some nice wins against some pretty lackluster opponents. It's going to be good for confidence building, great for a manager like Conte, and great for that squad. In at 3, I have Liverpool. They're up 3 spots. Liverpool in 3rd and the team I have in 2nd. It was very, very close. The 7-0 thumping of Crystal Palace is obviously fresh in everybody's memory, and I know that there's a certain level of recency bias that does come into these kinds of videos, as there should be. They only had 8 shots on target, and they converted 7 of them. Now, you can either say, well, that just means their finishing was very clinical. I look at that. If the Minamino goal doesn't go in, I think Liverpool may even draw that game, or maybe they only win by a goal or 2 over the course of the game. The Minamino goal was really kind of the start of everything else. Let's not forget about the draws, disappointing draws against the likes of Fulham, against the likes of Brighton, and the fact that with regards to the Spurs game, they could have easily drawn or even lost that game. So I'm not going all in on Liverpool just yet. I still think the Van Dijk injury hurts them a great deal. But look, they're 3rd, they're top of the table, and that 7-0 thumping of Crystal Palace is definitely going to give those boys some serious confidence. In at 2nd, up 3 places, back in kind of the reckoning of the top 3 teams in the world right now are Bayern Munich. Wins in consecutive game weeks against Bayer Leverkusen and Wolfsburg, who at the time respectively were 1st and 4th in the table. It's got Bayern back in 1st place in the Bundesliga. Their only loss all season was the 1st game week of the year. We're now into like 11 and 12 game weeks in the past. So Bayern going very, very strong. Again, after a couple of disappointing draws against the fantastic 3-3 game against Leipzig and the was it the Union Berlin game? I think it was the Union Berlin game. 1st place, still retaining their spot. It's not a kind of a dominant hold over the position, but they still look very, very good value, is Atletico Madrid. So back to winning ways after that kind of blip against that resurgent Real Madrid team in the Madrid derby. Atletico Madrid still look very good value. I still rely on the fact that they've got a fantastic goalkeeper. Their manager is absolutely terrific. And will kind of maintain that role for a long time. And this squad knows each other very, very well, which is going to do them wonders, especially over this kind of torrid time with coronavirus, the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. Guys, let me know what you think. I know that these lists kind of vary from week to week. That's the way that power rankings go. It's all about form. It's all about how you're playing at the time. Let me have it. You agree, you disagree, tell me why. We can start having a conversation. Failing that, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next